All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Island Ball. This is episode 16, and today we're going to be first talking about the NBA Finals preview, the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Indiana Pacers, and then we're going to go into some other NBA news that have happened, like Thibs getting fired, some trade rumors with KD and Giannis, and some more of that stuff. So, all right, so the Thunder are going to be playing the Indiana Pacers in the 2025 NBA Finals. I think a lot of people, thought the Thunder were heavy favorites to get out of the West, especially with just the
Mhm.
historic season they had all year, winning 68 games. Um, I think the Pacers were a shocker to a lot of people though. But I mean, they've been proving a lot of people wrong this whole playoff run. What are your thoughts on just this matchup in general before we dive into it more?
I mean, I think of course I'm rooting for the Pacers, but I think the Thunder are heavy favorites, and even like you said in the West, they always were kind of they were kind of the overwhelming favorite in each series, and
Yeah.
everyone kind of thought. I mean, I know some people thought, oh, maybe they're not ready, they're too young, and stuff like this, but just if you just watch their basketball games, they're just a really good team defensively. They have the closer in Shea. They're big. They got a bunch, they're deep too. But I mean, for the on the Pacers side, I wanted the Knicks to win this series, but as I watched more and more, like I wouldn't say I'm a Knicks fan, but like we talked about in the beginning, I like the Knicks. The Pacers were just a better basketball team, and they're just like a really fun basketball team to watch. Just the way they run out, everyone kind of gets involved. They play like a pretty large rotation for like a playoff team, like 9 or 10 guys. And then it seems like a new guy steps up each night. Pascal and Halliburton were pretty solid on most nights. I know Halliburton had a bad couple games, but he was pretty solid. And then Siakam was really just solid, I feel like, on a game-to-game basis. But I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. I'll have a question for you. Is just like, does this kind of, even though they're really good teams, does this feel like a finals matchup to you?
Not at all, but I mean, I think that's kind of unfair to say. Maybe it's
Yeah, I
just
know
because
it's
we've
true.
been blessed with basketball for the past decade to just watch LeBron,
Hmm.
Steph and the Warriors, and even when Durant was there, and
Hmm.
um, just all these kind of we've been in this decade of like dynasties, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, because this kind of feels to me like when Denver and the Heat kind of matched up, like not this is not super exciting matchup for me. Obviously I'm gonna watch all the games, but
Hmm.
yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like it's weird to say because we've been watching so much playoff basketball and stuff to where it's like,
Hmm.
of course, it's the finals, but yeah, it doesn't really feel like a finals matchup to me. Like you said about the overwhelming favorite, just to put it in more perspective, the Thunder are minus 750 to win the finals. So if you bet $10, you win like $1.50, just like, you know? So they're overwhelming favorites, but yeah,
I actually might put some money on Indiana then. Or no, I don't gamble, but
yeah, no,
even though the Thunder are crazy favorites, I can see a world. I can see a
I
world where
don't,
Indy.
I
You don't see a
don't.
world.
Just because, or just, and this is baseline level stuff, but just one of the things that has always, they've overwhelmed teams with just their speed, and just
Mhm.
their flow of offense. And it's like, I think with the Thunder, especially when they go their small ball lineup, and I
Mhm.
just think they're going to be able to match it, and it's not going to affect them in ways it's affected some of these other teams. I know the Thunder in some of the regular season games when Hardenstein's been out there, that's when they've
Mhm.
kind of taken advantage of it and gotten out to some leads and just some runs. But I just don't think over the course of this series it's gonna. I think the Thunder defense is just gonna be able to just have them in jail. Like literally, yeah.
Yeah, especially in their half court offense. If Indiana can't that's really how they beat. I wouldn't say that's how they beat the Knicks. I was gonna kind of talk about Knicks' flaws in this. Is just like I don't like. I felt like Pascal got like buckets every game by just leaking out the court.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Not even just Pascal. Neesmith, anyone on the team. Just because Nick's like cat on offensive
I,
rebounds, he would just not get back. He would
I was about
just
to mention that. Yeah.
he wouldn't even crash the boards. He would just kind of be in the middle to, I guess, get another open three.
Yeah.
So they kind of just I don't want to say they didn't deserve that, but it's like I think the Knicks had a lot of flaws that the Pacers were able to
Exploit.
go at, exploit, and the Thunder don't have these faults, which is also big defensively because Brunson and Towns have a lot of weaknesses defensively, and OKC really doesn't have one player that's in the whole rotation that is a bad defender, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's why also I think Chet's just going to be just a huge factor in this. Like he didn't play, and I don't think any of the regular season, the two regular season games that they had. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean that's just going to be huge for them, just because
Hmm.
to that point that you're mentioning. But I mean, I don't, not that, obviously the championship's always the goal and whatnot. But I mean, in terms of just Indiana, I don't want to say there's no shame, but I mean, you lose to, I mean, if the Thunder win this, we're gonna have to start talking about like an all-time sort of season, you know? I'm not gonna say all-time team yet, but I mean, you win 68 games plus the finals, that's a remarkable season. And look,
Yeah,
they don't have
shout out.
to, huh?
I said, yeah, shout out the Pacers.
Yeah,
Go
and
on.
then you don't have to play. I mean, they don't have to pay anyone yet. I know that's coming up in the next couple of years, but
Hmm.
just no, seeing what we don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of years, but we could be looking back on this and saying like, oh yeah, I mean, Indiana just had to face this generation's next dynasty, and it's
Hmm.
tough when you have to do that. So I really think it's just going to be tough for the Pacers to win this, just like what you said with all the talent that OKC has, it just meshes well so together. Like I think if no one got hurt and because I think Boston, it would have been tough. I definitely see a world where they still come out down from that series against the Knicks and win if Tatum doesn't
Okay.
get hurt. Obviously, he got hurt, so that doesn't matter. But that's why I was hoping for a Thunder Celtics matchup in the
Hmm.
finals. So I thought that would have been a great matchup. Just both teams just constructed super well, and I think that would have been the ma best matchup that we can see. But I really think OKC is not going to have too much trouble in this series.
Yeah. This is kind of a little bit off topic, but I think it's kind of the same topic. It's just like we're talking about how like the finals, it doesn't really feel like a finals. I feel like we're gonna see this for like we've seen this for kind of a couple years with like without because for a while you said like you're right, we were spoiled with LeBron and Curry, these dynasties and the finals felt like, everyone was watching. But then we saw like Phoenix and Milwaukee. The Warriors and Celtics kind of that's kind of biased. It felt like a finals because Curry, but I think
Well, but
without
every time there's certain people, they're tuning in. Like if Steph's in
yeah,
LeBron, yeah. So it's biased a little bit, but not, fair to say
yeah.
that.
But I just feel like before like we find this face of the league when there's like these Ant's a great player, Wemby, Shea, like we don't know yet. I feel like a lot of these finals are gonna feel a little bit weird, especially for us like fans that grew up with Steph and LeBron, and even with the second apron. Like I think OKC can turn into a dynasty, but it's just hard because just paying everyone. Like I think the OKC has at least a couple two-year window, and with all their picks, they can be a dynasty because they can just redraft all these players. But they're gonna have to start paying J-Dub. They're gonna have to start paying Chet, and I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna be hard for teams to be like for dynasties to happen. So I mean, like I said, maybe OKC, but the days of like LeBron and Curry in the finals, it just or like I know a long time ago, Bird and Magic or
Hmm.
Jordan. I don't know. That feels like with the second apron, the NBA kind of not eliminated that, but it's gonna be harder. But
Yeah,
what do you think about
I
that?
definitely agree with you, and I just think viewership and just in general is going to be hard for the NBA coming up. Just I
Yeah.
mean, I think we already been seeing it the past couple of years. Viewership's just dipping down a lot.
Hmm.
Um, because unless it's your job to cover the NBA or you're
Yeah.
even for the most like for us like super fans, just love watching just basketball in general, not just our teams,
Hmm.
with just our lives and what we have to do, just students just becoming adults. It's like you just can't
Yeah.
watch a bunch of basketball. So
Yeah.
I just think in general it's like you said, it's just viewership's just it's hard, especially
Yeah.
with I think just some of the things, general fans are complaining about, like grifting fouls. There's just like a lot of
Mhm.
people, the game doesn't appeal to them the same way anymore. And I think the finals, having matchups like this just adds to it even more.
Mhm.
Whereas, of course, it's the finals, so there's going to be people tuned into it, but it's just different when you have a superstar that everyone,
Yeah.
knows.
Roots
Especially
for
when it's
roots.
someone
Yeah.
like Steph, where it's like, just because of his game, the
Mhm.
showmanship he also is, just his style of play, like people love just watching that. Um,
Yeah.
so not that these players like obviously Shea's one of the best in the league, but
Hmm.
just is people love just it's just a different play style and it appeals to more people. So
Yeah.
I think it's definitely gonna be tough on the NBA because it's not like we're f with football where you could just put any matchup out there and people are gonna watch just because the nature of the sport and it's
Mm.
entertaining, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I think it's gonna be tough. Yeah, we'll see how viewership is this year though. I think that'll be something that'll be interesting to see because two smaller market teams in the finals, you know. Especially
Yeah.
I would consider Indiana a really small market, but I don't know.
OKC is a really small market. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, they're both really
both
small.
really small market. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's just like kind of grappling on to what you said. It's just like even in our lives, like comparing to our lives, like if we have like a lot of things we're doing, students and all that, it's like, are we gonna like in the finals, if it's LeBron Curry, there's 2.5 hours of your day, like you're gonna
You're
like
making time.
making time for it.
You're making time.
That's your
Yeah.
excitement. Like you're looking forward to that for like the days you're not there. But it's like we said, we're gonna watch this because like we're basketball nerds and all that. But it's like
And it's
an
the summer. But yeah.
yeah, and it's the summer. But like I feel like an average person is not maybe like taking 2.5 hours of their day to watch, Shea versus Tyrese Halliburton,
100% agree with you. And it's like, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where they're not stressing over. It's like if it
Yeah.
aligns and they end up watching the game, it's on, they'll watch it,
Yeah,
but they're
exactly.
not scheduling things around, you know.
Yeah.
Most casual person's not scheduling things around it or stressing about, oh, I gotta be home to watch this game, you know?
Yeah. We're like
Yeah.
LeBron and Curry, say you're hanging out, you're going back home to watch that. But
But that's the problem with the NBA right now, is just you kind of need the big markets to be in these games, you know? But
that's why the conspiracy with like
with Luca.
say Luca made the finals no matter who he played. If Luca's in the finals with LeBron, not even with LeBron, just Luca, I feel like people are watching Luca.
But you know, you add on the Lakers to that too, and their
Yeah,
fan base and
exactly.
the history and all that. That it does make a
Mhm.
difference. But yeah.
Yeah. And even when I say the Celtics made the finals, I think it'd be a little bigger market.
Hey,
But
back onto that, do you think obviously this is kind of in the past now, and it's a little off topic, but you know how everyone was saying the Celtics, you know, kind of really coasted to the finals last year. Um,
Mhm,
But I mean, I've seen and obviously Indian has gotten better over the past year. Their
mhm,
players, just their team in general, like Neymar's taken a big step up. But I mean, they easily handled this Pacers team last year, who made it to the conference finals. So just seeing what they've done this year, obviously you can't really compare years too much. But does that any make it any more impressive to you, especially when people were just kind of writing off like, oh, they beat the Pacers, like easy, easy. It was an easy
Oh,
path.
you're talking about the Celtics? Does it make
Yeah,
it
like last year.
Yeah, I think the Celtics last year were like like I don't know, but like they were like a top team of all time, like just from top to bottom, how they played together. And then this year, I think they just, even the Tatum injury, I think before that they just weren't as good. Like Porzingis was a shell of himself. Drew Holiday still played good defense, but like offensively, I don't think he was nearly on the same level. Payne Pritchard took a step up, but they also kind of went to that three deep happy, which they did last year too. And so yeah, saying that, and I think also Indiana just got, even though they have a similar team, I think they just got a lot better. Um, I know cohesion they've had in the same team, but just like Halliburton's took a big step up. I think maybe the
Mm.
stats don't fully show it, but I think he's growing into like a superstar. Um, Siakam, he was solid last year too, but he's stepped up. Nimhar was really good last year too, and he's been good this year. But just as a team, when you watch them, they just I know we've been hating or not hating, but like saying like making it seem like the Pacers aren't real. But when I've watched them this playoffs, they've seemed like a really, really good basketball team. It's just it's just weird because they don't have like I guess a guy you'd think is like a top five player. But
Mm.
if Halliburton gets say the if Halliburton wins, I think if Halliburton wins and he wins Finals MVP, averages 20 and 10, I'm putting him top 10 as an NBA player. And even if he gets 2 or 3 games, I might put him top 10. I know that's crazy to sound, but
Mm.
I think, if you go to the finals, and I don't think, even though he's in the East, I don't think he really had an easy path. He played Milwaukee with the first round, which is not crazy because, they
Dame was
weren't,
hurt, but
yeah, they weren't healthy. And then Cleveland, I mean, before the season, they were really good, and they weren't fully healthy either. But I think, you're gonna have to play who's in front of you, and they beat the
yeah.
you can't really control that. And then even New York, they had a lot of flaws that I actually kind of want to dive deeper into after we talk about this. But they still are, I think, a good team. They're gonna make some changes, but and Indiana looked, even though with their flaws, they looked really good.
Yeah, just wait for KD to get traded and show he's still a top 10 player next year. Just wait.
I've been thinking that because I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I told you, but like I've had like, is KD overrated? Just because
No,
he's like showing these teams.
he's gonna prove everyone wrong next year. Just watch. Or in terms of like everyone's kind of discount. We talked about this before. I think it's the same thing with like Steph and LeBron, where once they got those trades, you kind of just saw their just the effort and the belief there, and it manifested in them playing better and everyone. But
Do you
I think
wanna
same thing with Durant. Once he gets on just a team where that belief that they can win is there, you're gonna see him back to that
stronger?
that peak form. I don't know. That's what I just believe. I'm not surprised. I would not be surprised when we see that next season. But we'll talk about that more when we talk about KD's trade. But
Do you want to kind of talking like, switch to that? Like, what are some teams that you think, or that you would like Katie to go to, and that you think would be a good fit without? Because I heard, like, from what I've seen, his value's not as, like, he's very gettable. His value's not crazy high. His contract's
yeah,
really big, so it's gonna be hard for, like, any team to do it. But
yeah.
they're, been real aggressive. So what's a team you would like him to go to?
Oh man. I don't I don't really know about all the money and stuff. But if I think everyone's first thought was kind of just Houston. But
Hmm.
because they obviously kind of have the assets and just the one thing that they really needed was just uh as a dominant just player that could just take over the game in the half court and just make their half court offense just functional. But I don't know. I would really like to see him on Denver, to be honest. But I don't know if the money would match with
Hmm.
like had to throw like a Porter or Murray in there. But
Hmm.
I don't know, just that fit. That's something that I would want to see, but I don't know if that's possible or because I don't know if they're in the. I think they should blow up their team, but I don't know if they're gonna do it.
Um, you think Denver should blow up their team?
Yeah, I think so. I think this iteration of just. I think you got to focus more on anchoring Jokic with more defensive, like 3-and-D type of players. And because I mean, we see this. I mean, like this obviously they won a championship, but I just think
Hmm.
the inconsistencies we've gotten with just like their Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. I think
Yeah.
it's just we've kind of already seen what it's like at peak. And
Yeah.
um, the year that they won, their defense was horrible, but their offense was just like one of the greatest of all times, and their efficiency that it kind of just
Yeah.
matter, but they also played the Heat. So, not to discredit or anything, but that's just is what it is. So I think it's just going to be hard with that style of just play that they've been having. And I think you just gotta, that's why I would keep Peyton Watson for sure and just anchor him with more of those 3-and-D type of players that, yeah,
I
I
agree. I agree. That's why I think a Katie there, I don't know if I love it, just because I feel like they'd have to give up a lot.
oh,
Like,
yeah, definitely. But
not even like just like money wise. And I saw a little trade. I don't know if they could, but like I heard the Pelicans, anyone's on the block. So like I would love like a Herb Jones, Trey Murphy.
mm,
That's
great
probably
picks,
really high
yeah.
asking price. But maybe if they give 2 or 3 picks, like I think they would fit perfectly next to Jokic, even if it means like giving Porter Jr., Gordon. But
Oh no,
I
I definitely think I think you got to keep Gordon too. I forgot to mention that. I think
yeah.
Gordon's. I don't know. I just think with especially just the elevated play he's shown. I don't know. I think he fits great with Jokic, and yeah, I don't know. I think you should keep Gordon if you can. But
So then do you think it would be, because I don't know if you can really trade Jamal Murray. It would be Michael Porter Jr. you want out?
yeah, I mean, I would explore the Murray too, to be honest. But I
You would
don't know.
explore Murray?
Yeah, I would. But
Would you want like would you want a star guard in return, or just would you just fill Jokic up with straight just 3-and-D, and then
I mean,
basically?
it depends on who the star is. But yeah, no, I would definitely. I think they got to do a whole like kind of roster reconstruction
Hmm.
terms of like what we talked about with like the 3-and-D wings, more athleticism. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what they should surround him with. But because especially just we've talked about this, just the one weakness that he does have is just when they bring him up to like the 3-point line at third level, whatever, in the
Hmm.
pick and rolls and just his defense, like they can really expose that at time. And they're I don't know, there's this whole defense is kind of uh just alive. It just hurts their whole defense when he's out there. And you pair that with like a Michael Porter Jr. out there too. It just it's hard, you know. But
Yeah. I agree. I think they need to do something just because I don't know. They're the Nuggets just are kind of in a I mean, this year I thought they were gonna do way worse and they were one game away from, beating the Thunder, but
yeah.
it just that just shows how good Jokic is. No offense, it doesn't really show how good the Nuggets are. I think it just shows how good Jokic
Oh,
is.
100, yeah, 100%. I think so too. I mean, and they fired the coach. Like they had
Yeah.
their assistant or whatever being their head coach. So, which I mean, coaches can make a big difference. But yeah.
But but yeah, with KD, also the Rockets, I think it would be a great fit. Selfishly, I want him to go out east just because the West it feels like has everything. So a team
What team do you see trading from though? In the
I
East?
heard New York is a team. It would probably be
New
around
York?
Cat. Um,
Hmm.
I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't hate it. I could also Toronto's a team. I'm just looking up rumors just on Safari right now. And I'm even on Trade Machine. Toronto's they want the we talked about it a little bit like Giannis, but they're also aggressive in KD too. And I think KD would be better than Giannis just because it would take less to get him, and he's more fittable, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. So I just made a package right now.
And
Tell
this
me,
is just oh yeah, sorry. Say your package?
or
Yeah.
what were you gonna say?
No. I'll tell you. Tell me your package first.
My package, because I think KD has good trade value, but he's on a 1 year fit like 54. So I don't think it's as high as everyone might think, but it's RJ, Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, Grady Dick, the ninth pick, and then just one other pick. Would you do
Hmm.
that if you're Phoenix?
Q repeat it?
RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, Grady Dick, the ninth pick, and one other pick. Would you do that if you're Toronto, or what for
Is it
both?
another first round pick in the next year? The other pick?
The 2027 unprotected pick and then the ninth pick. So it's basically just they're just getting that pick because they really just need some sort of pick. And I know, Houston has their picks, but if I'm Houston, I'm not giving them four first for Katie. I don't think he's
Yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah.
that high.
Um, that's a solid offer. If I would have to see what the other
Yeah,
offers are there, because I mean, I think I saw something where it's like they're going to trade him or they're pushing for a
yeah,
trade.
yeah. I'm
But
looking. They're
like
like,
in terms of like if that was the only option or you keep him, I definitely think you do the trade because Phoenix just has to blow it up and try to get something out of
would
him.
have to, yeah.
But I would have to see what other things. But if push comes to shove and that's all they can do, then yeah, I would do it.
But yeah, Toronto's one. One that's really been talked about is Minnesota. Um,
Mm,
it'll probably have to do with some sign and trade with Julius Randle, so that might be a little difficult.
yeah.
If I'm Minnesota, I'm not giving up Jaden McDaniels for KD, as good
Mm,
as KD is, just because he's on a 1 year deal. Um, ah, I think you'd probably give up the young guys like Rob Dillingham, maybe Terrence Shannon a pick, but I would trade anyone but Anthony Edwards or McDaniels.
yeah. I did have another question.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that's kind of been in limbo because of all their injuries and just um what do you see the 76ers being able to do anything this offseason or what do you or like do you just see them like running the back and hoping everyone's healthy?
Honestly, they're a team that's because I love the NBA trade machine, all that like team. I like that almost more than the games. But they're a team that I feel like is like really, really interesting because they have a lot. Like they have a
Yeah, they
lot.
do.
Like they
Yeah.
have McCain was like going to be a rookie of the year. Maxey is a young guy.
When Embiid plays and he's healthy, we see what he
Yeah.
can do, obviously. But
When Quentin Grimes is like he averaged 20 for the last portion of things. So I think they could like go the young route. And then like I don't know if they trade Embiid or just they go to young route and if Embiid plays, like that's what I think they're gonna go with. I don't know if they're interested, but like I could see maybe like a Paul George in the third pick for KD swap, just because Paul George.
that's why I mentioned them. I was like, do you see them as I was going to say, do you see them as a team that could trade for KD? Because I think that'd be interesting.
I think I think that's just like I think if Phoenix gets that offer, I think you take it right away.
Hmm.
Because I mean I know Paul George isn't a great contract, but just getting the third pick for KD.
Yeah.
That's really good value. So if I'm Philadelphia, I don't know if I'm doing that.
Hmm.
Just because I don't know, I like this draft a lot. But I think Giannis would be a cool thing in Philadelphia. I haven't heard anything about it, but
Yeah.
it would probably be like a Paul, because Paul George is easy to match the money. So like a Paul George, McCain, third pick, and maybe some other picks. I would love Giannis in Philadelphia because he also stays out east. But realistically, if I'm the owner, I'm probably drafting. I heard the rumor to draft Malawatch, the Duke center, or like Trey Johnson. So I would. So it seems like maybe they're not hell bent on keeping Embiid if they're drafting a center at three, or they just really want insurance because he hasn't been healthy. But they have a a hard GM job, but also
Yeah.
like they have also like they're not like they have a lot, so they're also I would say in a pretty good spot as well.
Yeah. Yeah. What about Giannis? I mean, I know you mentioned the 76ers right now, the Raptors. Where else would you want to see him?
Giannis is tough because he's so like good and he's in his prime that like I
Yeah.
I feel like that like any team that gets him is gonna
I was about
either
to say,
give up too much where like they're not that good.
yeah.
So the only team would be like Houston, but I heard they're not really that interested. But like Houston, OKC's like has enough to like I'm thinking about teams that are good enough to like give up a lot and still like not be screwed. This Houston,
I mean, what,
OKC,
I don't.
Antonio maybe.
I was gonna say I don't get why San Antonio doesn't sort of. Maybe they are, but I feel like if I'm San Antonio, I'm putting that second pick in the trade. Um,
Yeah,
like I mean, so especially like you said, Giannis is still in his prime. What is he 28 now or is he
I think
20?
he's 30
He's 30. Still, I mean, he's still gonna be in his prime, and I just
because I
especially
think
I
I
I
think
I would throw that second pick in for Giannis,
I
and
think they could easily get him like
yeah,
without
exactly. And I don't even think you have to give up like a
Box or
Castle
Castle
or something.
or
Yeah, exactly. Like you have enough young pieces where you can keep that. And it's like you already have Victor too. It's like you pair
yeah.
him with Victor. I don't know. I just think I don't
The
know why
Spurs
they're
are in
not.
a great spot.
I don't
Like,
know why they're not all over it though, to be honest. But
I mean,
I
from
thought
what
I
I've
saw
heard,
something where they didn't want
yeah,
to
they
trade.
want to. I heard they want to keep the pick, which
That's what I said. Yeah,
it's kind of because the second pick is like for surely his Dylan Harper,
Dylan
who's
Harper.
like
But
another
I'm
point
not gonna
guard.
lie. I would rather have Giannis, but
I I've kind of been on each like side of the sword because it
like
like
it's just taking the numbers. Like, what are the chances Dylan Harper turns into a generational talent like Giannis and is dominant in the league for that amount of much time,
yeah,
And and
especially if they don't have to give up cat. So
Giannis still has years left.
I
And
guess
you
it's
already have your other superstar too in Victor. It's like I feel like this you could afford to do this and just grab Giannis because I mean in like I don't know what like 6, 7, 8 years when Giannis retires or whatever, it's like you still have Victor in his prime. It's like
and yeah, and they hostile off Stephon and probably because I
yeah.
think in this trade it'd be Vassell, the second pick.
Like I don't think the spacing would be nasty either because Victor can stretch the floor. Just we've seen him just he likes to do that. It's just what they need is that just power from Giannis and that,
They would be
to support
Nick and
Victor. Like
Embiid.
that defensive that interior would be nasty. But
I know I've heard they're not really been on it, but I feel like that's just like a Spurs thing. Like I think the only reason they traded for Fox was just because his value was so low. But
I forgot about him too, to be
that's
honest.
what they
I would
have,
be all over this. I feel like they would instantly jump to title contenders in the West. Uh,
and they have the 14th pick. If to be honest, if I'm them, I'd rather get KD. I know that sounds crazy, but just because I think you can get KD without giving up this second pick for sale. I mean, the
you think
second
so?
pick. Yeah, I think you can
Mm.
give up 14, Vassell, and then you still have Fox, Castle, KD, Wemby, and then you still have Dylan Harper off the bench. So I would be more into KD and just fit wise. I know like Giannis, like the spacing is
I
like,
think they would just, if anything, if you're giving up any one of those picks, I think they probably want it to be Giannis just because he's a lot younger. Katie only got so many years left. But
I know from what I've seen they because like we're talking about Philadelphia, they have a lot like San Antonio might have like the mo other than OKC with like 30 picks, the like San Antonio basically has like the most like
yeah.
talent like picks. Like they have so much like they can do where they can be contenders next year and like for years to come. So
Yeah.
I think they should be all over Giannis, but from what I've heard, they don't seem too interested. I've heard a lot. I've also heard like things that like Giannis might not want to leave, Giannis might want to stay, and all this. But I kind of had a question for you. Like, if I know you're not Giannis, and I'm not Giannis, but like, would you want to leave or would you stay?
Oh man, that's a tough question. That is a question too. It's hard 'cause I really don't know where his mindset's at right now.
Yeah.
Obviously we know he wants to win. He's won
Mhm.
a ring, but we know he wants to win. But um, it just goes down to really obviously I think if it's like because we've seen him stay these past couple years, even though they've been first round exits like all the time. I think in a perfect world he'd want to like stay and like win a championship with Milwaukee and stuff. It just
Mhm.
goes down to does he still have that belief that the organization can put him in a position where they have the chance to win, you know? Because I think these past couple of years he's just stuck it out and like because it would have been weird to demand a trade, I think, but
Yeah.
just because he's still had that belief. But like with these last couple of years, obviously they made the Dame trade because they wanted to push for that
Mhm.
title, but I don't know, they're kind of stuck now. There's not that much they can do, and it's just does he still have that belief that they can build a championship team around them and that the organization's going to do whatever they can to do that. I think that's what it's going to really come down to, and we're not in the organization, so we don't know.
Yeah, I think it's practically like impossible for them to make any moves for them because
Yeah,
Dame's going to be out next year. They have zero picks. They have really no young guys. Like their only move is Giannis traded, but it's like more as if the only reason Giannis is going to stay is like it's his home and say whatever he demands this trade, and then like kind of like Dame, like you don't win a championship, it's like damn, I should have just stayed and like been
yeah.
the one team guy. The good thing for him is he
But
already
would
got.
you rather like for Dame, it's like, and not saying he's thinking that or there's regret, but it's easier to say that now because we've seen what's unfold, and it's like if he stayed in Portland and we didn't know anything that happened here, we might still be saying like, man, do you think he regrets not giving himself a shot still, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
would you rather sit and like, I think the most realistic scenario is that what's happened to Milwaukee just happens for the next 2, 3 years. The same thing that's happened these past 3 years if Giannis stays, because they can't really make that many moves. And would you rather just sit like would you rather give yourself that chance with the other team even though you might fail at the end of the day or not win the championship? Not necessarily not fail, but not win the championship, or just stick it out in kind of like purgatory where it's like you're just kind of stuck here and it's like you're just trying your best, but there's not that much you know.
Yeah, I kind of agree. That's why like I was thinking that, but like I feel like I would be surprised if Giannis was on the Bucks next year just because like there's literally like I said like no route for them to even like
Yeah.
because I think with this new NBA like every team has a shot like because like there's not an overwhelming favorite, but like I don't even see them having a shot, especially with no Dame. He's 35. Like you don't know how he's gonna come back from Achilles. So even he's gonna
Yeah.
be the whole this year, but like even next year, you don't know.
Yeah.
And they don't have like any like they can't even trade for like like a bad not a bad star, but like a star that's not hard to get.
Yeah.
Like there's no wiggle room for them at all.
I have a question for you, quick question. It's kind of still on
Mhm.
this topic. Pretend you're like in someone in a position like Dame, like we won't say it's like Dame, just in a position like Dame where you're on a hometown team, but you know you're not gonna really have a chance to win.
Mhm.
Would you rather move like he did and give yourself that shot and, maybe it ends up like it's kind of has for him now and you're kind of
Mhm.
living with that, like, what if I just stayed? Or would you
Mhm.
rather stay and then at the end of your career, if you don't win, live with the, oh, what do you think would have happened if I gave myself a chance and just traded? Like, what do you think what would you rather live with if it's either just one or the other?
I mean, as like a basketball player, you want to win, but like you have to also think like these like fam like say like whatever you grew up like you have a family that's really important. You have like a I don't know like a 4 or 5 year old son.
Yeah,
Like I feel like maybe like you have their whole home here. It's like and then other than basketball, like everything's good. Everyone loves you. So it's like and Dame's like say that's my case, and then Dame's options like go to Milwaukee, which is not like I don't know. It's not like a city anyone crazy wants to live in. And then you have like you still, it's not like they have like a 50% chance. It's still a small shot at winning, But
Yeah.
like I guess that eager as like a basketball competitor, you're like, you know what? I need that shot just because this, I'm
Yeah.
gonna play a big playoff game and all this. And for Dame, it didn't work out, but like before, like it didn't work out. It's like we thought the Bucks were gonna be really good, with Dame and
Mm.
Giannis. Like, so it's all hindsight, but ah, I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
go- I'm on the side where you got like as a competitor, yeah, it's like
You have to
obviously
take
you
the
hate
shot.
leaving the city you've tried to give so much to, but at the end of the day, because like the position the Blazers are in, I don't think they were gonna be competing like that, you know? But I definitely think you gotta just go with the shot all the time, you know? But
The
and
reason,
it's like at the end of the day, like we use these words like we feel bad, but like these guys are making over $50 million.
yeah,
Like they're gonna be fine, you know? It's not, yeah. But
the reason the Giannis one I think is a little different is because he doesn't have that pressure because he already has that chip. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, he's gonna go down as like I know Dame's of course gonna go down as a legend, but like it's gonna be weird because like people like Giannis, you want him to get like two, three, four championships, but like I think as like an all-time great, you respect like a Dirk ring who's was on one
Yeah.
team forever, got that one ring. So I think if I'm in Giannis' situation, I would just stay lock in because you got that chip. I know as a competitor, maybe maybe not this year, but maybe you can trade Dame for like I don't even think you can trade Dame because who
Yeah.
wants Dame? So like I don't know. I think I would thug it out. Me personally. All right. So to continue to or kind of go back to, we talked about the Pacers being the Knicks. We just found out Tibbs got fired. And I just kind of wanted to talk about the Knicks season in general because I think it was still a great season and didn't end off, perfectly where they want to, but in Eastern Conference Finals, I think that's a good appearance. But even with this good season, I just saw like glaring weaknesses that show that they weren't like a great team. And the big one is, with I think I have a question for you. Just do you think like they talked about this on Numbers on the Board podcast, which is like Kenny and all that, and it makes a lot of sense. Is just Brunson and Cat like defensively as a duo is that basically possible to like be a NBA championship team? Because you can like teams have always hit like one player. They like, they mentioned it's like a guard or something, but like having a big man as well that like basically can't like that basically gets attacked. Do you think it's possible?
Mm, mm, no, I'm gonna just say no, and I think we saw that with them, and that's the main thing. Every single person who talked about the Knicks, like the guy, Jason Tim from the Volume Hoops Tonight
Mhm.
that I watched, that was a big thing that he was talking about in all his breakdowns. But just because we know Mikal and OG are just elite defenders, especially for their position and just all world defenders, you know. But they can only do so that gets so much negated just by just Brunson and Cannon pick and roll and just
Yeah,
like you
exactly.
said, it's just when you have two players out there that are kind of, Cat's definitely a liability on defense.
Hmm.
But it just they can only do so much on their part. It's just like,
Hmm.
they're always in rotations or just to help deep. It's just like kind of gets their eliteness on defense kind of gets negated, you know?
Yeah.
But and in the playoffs, Brunson really stepped it up, I think. Especially we saw that in the Celtics series. I
Hmm.
think he really stepped it up, which helped them throughout those games. And that's a big reason why they won because just their defensive unit as a whole just it took a big turn once he was more involved and just was playing better defense. But like you said, it's a big problem because I thought their construction was great with having Mikal and OG, but it
Hmm.
just really just their defensive just them as defensive players, it really just takes a hit with those other two out there on the floor at the same time.
Yeah. Just I don't want to like pick on him, but like just I think it's just having a big man like Cat. Like I think with Minnesota, like you saw him kind of thrive just because he had Gobert. Like even in that Sun series, like he looked like a great defender. Even against Jokic, he looked like a great defender because he had that dude in the back line. But like that's why it's like, does he play power forward?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's just gonna be tough for him to be the
I,
starting
I,
center for them and them to,
I I think the Knicks too, I mean, they already like playing Mitchell Robinson a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and obviously, I'm wondering what the trade, if they were to trade Towns, what they get back. But if you had to run Mitchell Robinson starting as your five, I mean, that's a great option too. We
I
saw,
feel very comfortable. Yeah.
yeah, they saw how much they were comfortable. I mean, they were playing him in crunch time in
Hmm.
these series. But I think they would have absolutely no problem with him as their starting five if he could just hit a free throw. To be completely
Yeah.
honest,
A big issue.
like 30% is just ridiculous or whatever he shot. I
Hmm.
think it might have been the playoffs these past years he shot there. I remember seeing on Yahoo stats he was shooting 30% at times. But so I honestly think that's a bit like you're gonna feel comfortable regardless. But yeah, I think they do need to move it off Towns. But
That's why like a Towns KD thing doesn't sound crazy
yeah,
because you just put him in there and then put Mitchell Robinson because
yeah,
Mitchell Robinson, I think he was basically like an X factor. Like it seemed like when he came and he brought energy, those free
it's
throws killed him, but those offensive rebounds
he
were
has
just
been injured though. Like, didn't he come? How much of this season was he hurt? He was hurt for a while, wasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah,
he has had a lot of like foot ankle injuries.
yeah,
So that's the only thing you worry about. But like when he's been healthy, I was a big fan of him. Just he
yeah.
came in the game and he basically like I remember at one point like the minutes where he was in were just like crazy. Another thing that I kind of want to talk about was like that was kind of weird and the non-Brunson mints they're really good. So I know that doesn't mean anything like, Brunson's, bad or anything. It's just I think in the series it's just defensively like both of those guys just I don't know, we're kind of going back to it, but just getting basically fried. So
Yeah, and I know it's definitely important because especially I think in those pay in that Pacer series in specific, I mean in a lot of other games too, it's like obviously the Knicks were like and just anyone was like, oh yeah, we're totally fine if we're in these close games, we have Brunson,
mm,
there's not really that many more people that you want with the ball in their hand. So we feel extremely comfortable in these close games, which yeah, it was true for a lot of it. Obviously Brunson's clutch, but I mean, just the nature of these clutch games, you're just not always going to get it done sometimes. And we saw
yeah,
that there were some shots, opportunities that, I mean, I'm not talking about game one even, but that he just didn't come through. And it's just they would. I say that to say they wouldn't be in those positions if I believe they have taken care of these defensive issues.
yeah.
Um, and I think that's just a big thing too. A lot of people won't talk about that because it's just like, just the game turns out how it turns out. But
Mhm.
I think they just the talent they have and just I think a lot of these games they would just be create that just margin for error at the end if
Yeah,
this defensive issue was solved. So I think it's important for them to get it solved because they won't find themselves in these close games. Maybe they will, but not as much, and that create they're just gonna have more margin for error throughout the game, which
yeah.
will help.
That's why like I know the firing of Tibbs is like a lot of people like are saying like, oh, he's the reason they lost the series. I really don't think so at all, but I also understand why he got fired and them just
Hmm.
by bringing in like maybe a younger coach.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
that Tibbs got, he played his bench a little bit later in the series, but like I guess his reluctant to play young guys is a little bit
I,
frustrating.
I
And
definitely. Oh, sorry.
no, and you go on and just lack of adjustment sometimes, but I think the defense is more the more important issue.
Yeah, I just think there's the other side of it too, where it's just like. Could this end up almost hurting them in some ways too, where it's like the command, and I don't want to say respect, but just the command, because like I think I don't want to say the report wrong, but I don't know if the word was flexibility that was used, or they wanted just someone who was more flexible or whatever. Because I know we know what Tibbs like. Obviously, he's a seasoned coach. You
Hmm.
know, he's who he is, and it's like you're not gonna really tell a guy like that like
Yeah.
to do it a certain way. Like he's too much experience in the league where it's like he's
Hmm.
gonna do things the way he wants to do it. Um, and we saw how a lot of players didn't like that, or what it seemed like they didn't like that, where it's, almost with like, I don't want to say Darvin Ham, but maybe I think Steve Nash might be more of a comparison where it's like, I don't know if the players fully like grasp onto what
Yeah,
the coach,
respected them.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, especially with these big stars in New York, where it's like they might have more leeway
Hmm.
to do more of what they want to do now, which I think with certain players, you give them that leeway, they're going to turn even like it's just gonna max out their potential, but I don't think you could do that with everyone. And I don't know, that would be my only concern where it's like with Tibbs, like that discipline, that respect, like you're gonna do what he wants to do. And
Yeah.
at times like he's like, the playing your starters, all that, could
Mm.
definitely probably hurt him in the end. But I think
That's a great
just his
point.
philosophy. Just I think it does play a key role into a lot of their success, though, too. And it'll just
Yeah,
be interesting to see, like, if they bring in a younger coach, like you said, what's going to happen.
that's a good point, especially if they're rumored to get KD just like
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau with the respect and like even like the players like Brunson really backed him in the post game. Like he really loved Tibbs, it seemed. And you don't like of course like the even if they get a young guy, Brunson will probably have his back or whatever. But um it's just I think you might be right, it might backfire.
I
But
don't know if backfire's a word. I definitely do think it will make a difference, just because human nature is just like,
mhm,
you Tibbs is your coach. Like, there's certain things you're just not going to do because,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Mhm,
whether that goes down to like respect, like I know with the Warriors, there's certain things. I think the Warriors also have just a great ecosystem with what they
mhm,
have with Kerr, and just because that's a spot where it's like, and I mean, it just goes down to Steph's one of those persons you could give the freedom to, and I think it just
mhm,
maxes out what he can do. But
mhm,
where it's like, Steph's, I mean, they're just not gonna do with stuff with Kerr, you know what I mean? And it's just,
yeah.
I just think human nature is just, it's just gonna kind of happen in certain spots where it definitely wouldn't happen with someone like Tibbs as your coach.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Just, with Steve Curry has the championships to back it up. Tom Thibodeau, even though he doesn't have the championships, it's more just like the veteran, you've seen other superstars play with that. For
Yeah,
a new guy where it's like maybe philosophy wise, like I think Tom Thibodeau
yeah.
philosophy wise maybe had like a lot of lapses. Like sometimes he was just too late in making an adjustment, but
Yeah. But
so I
that's
guess
why
you're
I'd say it's
a
even more
trade-off.
so better with the Warriors, just because it's all those championships too, but just also just because Kerr and like who he is as a person, the players
Mhm,
love him, and just the whole system and ecosystem that they've built. But
mhm.
yeah, like with Joe Mazzulla, like you're not gonna try to do stuff with Joe Mazzulla, you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
respect, and even though he's a younger coach too, but because he's built that. And I just think none of that matters if you find the right guy. But with these younger coaches, I mean, it's just hard, We've seen so many people get fired. But if you find the right guy, like none of that matters. Like Joe Mazzulla, he built that sort of just that community with this team, and just everyone knows what's up.
Yeah, so Knicks I think they'll have a event maybe an eventful offseason, even if it's maybe they don't trade Cap, but even getting a new coach, like I think it's gonna be a big
Yeah.
deal. But was there anything else I was gonna talk about? Um uh I saw some rumors that I know I talk about him a lot because he's my favorite player, but Jonathan Kuminga, there's a
Mm,
lot like rumors that like he might stay with Golden State just because there's not a lot of teams that have a lot of money out there and a sign and trade is just kind of hard.
yeah.
Um Not even just talking about Kuminga, but like as a Warriors fan, there's also Naz Reid. We have room about to get Naz Reid. Some pieces like that. What would you like to see like the Warriors like in a realistic situation do this offseason? Not like, in a like realistically.
Yeah, I don't. There's not that many things we can do. I don't think none of
Yeah,
it's obviously going to be a big move. Like the big move was Jimmy at the
yeah,
deadline, but
exactly.
I mean we talked about this. I don't think Kuminga's like. I mean, if he stays on the team, it's probably going to be similar to what it's just been. But I
Yeah,
don't think like either side can really max out what they want to do.
yeah, I
I
agree.
think that's the big thing. I don't think either side can max out what they want to do if he's still
Mhm,
on the team. Because
mhm.
obviously I think there's things Kuminga obviously believes he can do as a player and wants to do and develop into. And I just don't think in the Warriors with the system that they have, he's going to be able to do that effectively. So
I,
I'm
I,
hoping for both sides that something gets done. But yeah,
that's as a Kuminga fan and Warriors fan, like he's just not a great fit for the system. And like they've tried a little bit. I know Steve Kerr gets a lot of blame. I even, sometimes, put a little blame, but it's like at the end of the day, like this is best the best way for the Warriors to be good is to play through Curry.
mm,
Is you want players that can read and react or play through the system and he's just a little bit ball dominant and he wants, in his defense, like he has the talent.
yeah,
We don't know yet, but he believes he has the talent and he has shown flashes that maybe on another team, I like if I'm him, I want at least a try on another team. So in his perspective, I fully get it.
yeah. And it's just any young player I think we see with Golden State just because their system, like you said, the read and react,
Yeah.
just the ball movement, just I mean, it can be hard for a young player who doesn't have any experience or little to no experience in the league and just being thrown into a system like that where it's you can't really blame them.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's really anyone's fault because I mean Kerr's got to do what he's got to do with just the whole team. So I don't know. It's kind of really that's why it's just kind of I think it's just sometimes a hard match to be
Yeah.
made when you get a young player thrown into Kerr's system because it's great when executed, but you just have to have the players to execute, and these young guys just can't always do it at a high level or what needs to be done for it to be effective. But so like you said, I think it'd be best for him to be moved for both parties.
I agree. I know. I think it's gonna be hard for them, like all the reports say. But even if they can sign and trade for just like we're not gonna get up like you know how like the Thunder trade Josh Giddey for Caruso. Like if we can do
Crazy
something,
trade now, but yeah, yeah.
yeah, just like something like that, where like high potential guy like or like a Giddey Kuminga are like similar
I,
potential.
I, that's what I think we got D'Anthony Melton to be this past year. I think
Mhm.
we saw that kind of upside with him. Obviously, he got
Yeah.
hurt, so I don't know. Yeah,
I think, or like a player, I know like the Bulls are interested in Kuminga. Like, if they could somehow get like Lonzo and maybe like a second, I think that would be, I know it's not the flashiest, but just, stat sheets wise, Lonzo Ball, not crazy, but I think he has a similar impact to Caruso, where even this year after the knee injury, like, he played great defense. Reading rec wise, he's going to push it. Like, he knows where to be on the court at all times.
yeah.
If his three balls, as good as it, was before, he was hurt, like I would love that fit with the Warriors.
Yeah, I like how you use the term not flashy
Hmm.
when we're talking about the fit. Like, obviously, Lonzo's not going to be that because I mean, we don't need that. I mean, if you want to,
Yeah.
if we really want to go down to it, like Steph is what's going to be flashy for us, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and it's just we don't obviously if we got another just like perennial like just dominant scorer who's averaging 20 to 25 points a game, like I think it's going to be hard for anyone to beat us just
Hmm.
because of what Steph's still playing at that, top tier level. But
Hmm.
we don't really need that to have a chance to compete. I mean, we just need that consistent, just more consistency with scoring all around.
Hmm.
And obviously, I mean, that's our problem. You saw a lot of our role, like Pajemski, kind of
Hmm.
his offensive production dipped in the playoffs, and
Hmm.
everyone else, Moody, was non-existent, which is the problem when you try to pass it through a bunch of role players. But like, I think Lonzo would be a great fit just because of that, because we don't need a lot. We
Hmm.
just, yeah,
I mean, I think maybe I don't know if it's Pajemski a step up, but like maybe another guy and it's hard to get. Like it's hard to get. Like
I
I
mean,
think
I still think Cam Johnson would be the perfect fit,
Cam Johnson would be perfect. I
but
would love Nas Reed, but I don't know even how that's possible
yeah.
money wise, because I think he's gonna get a big bag, but
Mhm.
he would be a guy that can like get his own bucket, get a 15 to 20, and maybe not every night, but like another scoring threat. Because right now it's really only Curry and Jimmy. I don't really trust Pause as like a scoring threat. Maybe him or Moody take a jump, but I mean Curry's so good that like I don't know if you need that. It's too bad he got injured this year.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if do you blame that hamstring injury on just he had too much on his plate, or it's like at the end of the day that's like I mean that's
I don't know about too much on his plate, just the more so just I mean, because we went to game 7 and they had to play a game right away, and he's older now.
hmm
Like, I mean, obviously, because I think it was kind of more of a fluke injury
hmm
where, so I don't know, maybe like if he's 27, you know, like, maybe playing that game 7, it doesn't matter, he doesn't get hurt. But I don't think it has to more so do with what's on his. That's hard to say. I think what it really came down to was just how much games they had to play.
Yeah.
But I think that is though, just thinking about it while I was speaking, I think that can contribute. I think that's a great point that you said, just because just not really thinking about because now I'm thinking more like long term, just the whole
Yeah.
season, what he's had to do.
Yeah.
And that I think can definitely wear to the point where maybe it did catch up. But
hmm
that's where it's also if it was a fluke injury, it's like maybe just I don't think that he normally gets hurt in that situation. But so it's just one of those things where it's like that happened. But I think the less, just to really answer your question, the less that they can have, or the less that Steph has to do, the better, especially for
Yeah.
the whole regular season. But
That's why like a guy like Kuminga, I think in the regular season, like not if you're not looking at his career or money, like he would be, good for the Warriors just because maybe he takes a leash off Curry just in the regular season, but then it's just, are you paying a guy 30 million to like be like a good regular season, like basically cherry on top for then in the playoffs, it's like, he's gonna get maybe below 20 minutes or like you don't know how he fits. So
My only pushback on that is just like for that to be successful, we have to really change the whole system, kind of then, I think.
yeah,
And
yeah,
with for a whole regular season, then you're just gonna jump back to your system. I don't know, just the
yeah, that's not,
meshing of it. I don't know how they would do that or if they would want to.
mhm.
Which is why it's also crazy to think like if we're just talking about the regular season, you want someone to really carry the load. Pool would, I mean, that would have just been like,
Because he at least fit the defensively, maybe.
yeah. And it's like we saw with that one season, especially when Steph got hurt before the playoffs, got
Yeah,
hurt in that Celtics game. Like, I mean, Poole was having a great regular season and he was able to carry that load. Like, one of the things that also helped is we started like, I want to say it was
great.
like 18-2. I don't know. We had a great start to that regular season too, so it bought us that kind of margin
Yeah,
at the end. But yeah, I mean that's why I mean if we had Poole, I think in the playoffs it's a different story just because we saw just his turnovers and the defensive liability the last time he was on our team. But
mhm.
definitely for an 82 game regular season, that would be that's what we would need. But
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, I think the Warriors, even though I think they're still in a really good spot. I know
yeah,
it's tough because their main three guys are really older, so
yeah,
really have this next year, and then maybe if you have a year, maybe 2 year window, but I think in this year, 2 year window, they really have a shot. It's just as long as they stay healthy, make good, pieces around the margin. Say if they get, I don't know, just like Alonzo and then like a big man like a Steven Adams, I'll really be comfortable with that offseason. But
hmm.
I don't know. It's just Kuminga's just kind of in a weird spot because, the money thing. And then the Warriors, it's like you don't want to lose them for nothing, but that might just be the reality.
I think obviously they're in a good spot, like you said. I just think, and this is something like I hope it doesn't bite us in the in the butt next season, but something that I'm really concerned of that I think could be a problem is just the obviously the West is just stacked, but more so of just the like you said, our guys are old, especially our superstars, our main
Yeah,
players. It's just for an 82 game regular season, like how engaged are they going to be? Just the
yeah,
wear and tear. It's just a bunch of the great teams now, like OKC, Houston, they're young. And
yeah.
obviously, like I think we proved we were better than Houston. I don't think it should have went seven,
Hmm.
but I mean, we were in a tough position. We almost didn't make the playoffs,
Yeah,
so we almost didn't even have the chance to showcase us against Houston. And
yeah,
even if we're better than a team, I mean, it doesn't matter if we're not one of those. I guess not 10, but yeah, at the end of the day, those eight teams.
yeah.
So I mean, that's just something I'm concerned about because these teams in the West are getting younger.
Hmm.
I mean, the Spurs were a team that weren't really in the discussions this year. They could take a big jump next year. And even though we're better than I think a lot of the teams in the West, just over the course of a whole season, it's just that's one thing I'm really concerned about. Just I
Yeah,
hope we don't fall into that play. And I just see it hard for us to. I definitely don't see us being a top four seed. But like we
yeah.
have the talent. I think we're definitely a top four team in the West. It's just
The regular season, yeah.
yeah, it's just
Or
and I hope it just doesn't just hurt us to the point where we don't even we're in a playing situation again. But
I think the good thing is like last year was just tough but this year we have Jimmy to start the season, which is better. So
mhm,
we're a way better team with Jimmy, and we
yeah,
saw it at the end of the year. But they had to, they basically when they got after they got Jimmy, it was basically like they were in the playoffs. Like Steve Kerr mentioned, they're in the playoffs ever since after. So that just kind of takes a toll on the old guys,
yeah,
which I think is caused. I'm not blaming it on Curry's injury, but like it's just I think you like with this new NBA, you need like young guys, especially in this regular season. But I mean, at least we do have like, we're not like the Bucks. Like we played actually a lot of young guys. Like Pods got good minutes, Moody, Post. So I think we're just gonna have to rely on these young guys in the regular season. Um, Hopefully they make a jump. Even if Kuminga's not on the team, But I know what you're saying, especially, say I'm not trying to blame it, but like say they're in the East, like I'm not having the same worries. Like
yeah,
I it can be
yeah.
like a 5, 5, 6 seed, like easily. It's just the West, the San Antonio's gonna get better. I don't really see any teams getting much worse. I mean, but you never know, like injuries and stuff. There could be a team fall out, but San Antonio's on the come up. Phoenix is probably gonna not be as good anymore still, but even Dallas didn't make the plan. They're gonna get Cooper Flag and I think they'll be, I think they'll be at least a playing level team. So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just the West being so stacked
Yeah.
will be scary because honestly, the only teams that are bad is like Utah. Portland was also pretty decent. I mean, I'm not, but like I think they can maybe take a jump. I mean, Sacramento, I don't think is gonna be very good, but New Orleans maybe not. But like, there's at least 11, 12 teams that like at least have a shot at the play.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's probably going to be very close, like it was again this year
Yeah,
with the records and stuff. But
yeah, definitely,
like the
definitely be
difference between the second seed and the A seed were
four game,
4 games. Yeah, 4 games.
four
So
game. Yeah, so
I mean, and the difference can be just a young, athletic, explosive teams just ready to play on a random Tuesday, and we're not, you know.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
so I mean, that's just the one thing. I don't, I'm not too worried, but I am a little worried about that. I hope that we're not looking at it at the end of the season. And it's like, we're exhausted at the end of the season just because of similar thing, But I don't know.
Yeah. So it's I guess your Pods has a lot, to because I think he didn't have the best end to the season, but he did have flashes like at the end of the regular season where he was real good. But I think he's gonna have like a long leash and they're gonna, probably give him 30 plus minutes. Um, even Post is probably gonna get some good minutes, but yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to talk about? Just you want to just do some random just thoughts like we did last pod? Do you have anything? I'm still trying to remember what my question was.
Yeah, I was waiting for
Can't
you to
remember.
remember that one.
I thought about it at the beginning of the pod and I didn't write it down. I just forgot it. Do you have anything though?
I kind of mentioned it earlier. I mean, we already talked about it, but my random thought was just like the finals being the same because the second apron.
Oh yeah,
Already
yeah,
talked about that.
yeah.
Um, what else? I guess we talked a lot about the rumors, the Knicks. What's like another random thought?
It just be about just basketball in general. Like,
Yeah.
our last pod we went into just a bunch of things about off-season training. We did a bunch of random stuff, but that was
Mhm.
fun. But
Um, I should have came into some with some, but
yeah, no, we can do a whole nother thing about that. But
yeah, I don't have any. I'm trying to think real quick off the top of my head, but I can't think of any right now. If we'll give ourselves like 10, 10 seconds. If we can't
yeah.
think of something, then we'll do a next pod or something. Um,
Oh, I do have just something.
mhm.
Um, do you think a 4-point line is going to be implemented, and how soon do you think it would be if it was? And we could just talk about like how that might just change the dynamic of the whole game. But
I don't think it's Paul. I would hate it just because like even with the 3 point like everyone takes 3 pointers like a 4 pointer I feel like it would just be abused like I
mm,
mean I guess it'd be good for shorter players or like non-athletic players but like it would just kind of get away from like the dunk because like a 4 pointer would be double than like what a layup is like
yeah,
mid-range would not exist anymore like
yeah.
I don't know I think it would ruin the game to be honest.
I agree with you. I love just the idea of having it, but
Hmm.
yeah, I don't think it would work out for like a bunch of the reasons you said. Like, for someone like Steph, like,
Yeah,
he's gonna be shooting it at a pretty decent rate and like he can shoot it. But not everyone like it's just shown by the 3-point line already. Not everyone's not gonna have the discipline to
exactly.
it properly, or use it in the way they should to be effective. And like, yeah, I think I would love for it to happen, and I just don't think it would result in good just product of basketball because of what you said, and just because people aren't gonna have the discipline to
Yeah.
use it right. But
I think the discipline and then even like coaches and
yeah.
stuff, I think would look deep into analytics and like all this and just like people that aren't very
Well, I,
good at
I would love it because I think it'd just be such a great useful tool for those that could use it effectively, just if you needed it. But just if it was there, because I mean, because we see people pulling up from the logo at times, you know, but
I
then
think
I think just having it there, like you said, it would just create a whole bunch of problems that would
I think
result in more bad basketball.
I think the game would just be so like terrible. Like the like just the way basketball's played would just be so bad if there's
Yeah,
a
because I mean, I already kind of see that a lot too. But
like even with the 3 point, it's like
yeah,
everyone should, which is I mean I guess a good, but it's like
no, yeah, you're definitely
people
right.
that aren't even good shooters are taking like
Yeah,
a lot of
definitely.
threes a game, which is like I guess analytically it's cool, but like I don't know, I don't know. It's just even
Yeah.
that I don't want to sound like old head, but just
No, I
like
know what you're saying. That's why in a perfect world, I think it'd be great just to have it there. It'd be useful
Mhm.
for those who could really use it, but it's not a perfect world and it's not gonna, it
Yeah,
wouldn't go well. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I don't think
But
there'll be
do
no
you
lay.
think they're going in that direction though? I remember it was getting talked about before. The past year or so, I haven't really seen anything about it, but I thought I remember there's conversations about like maybe that was more just media and just NBA culture bringing it.
Maybe
But
maybe like I think maybe like maybe they bring in like All-Star game or
mm,
maybe they bring a lot of stuff in the G League like rules like that. So like maybe you
yeah.
try it out. But like even G League, I don't know, just because it's like I think it'll just get abused. Maybe
Mm,
Star game
yeah.
or I'm trying to think
I
in like
remember what my question was now too, though, that I was gonna ask at the beginning
all
without
right, okay,
saving.
well you asked that we'll ask that. But
Yeah,
my overall thought is I think it would be fun, like you said, it would be fun, it would be a cool tool, but like I would be 100% against it just because I think the brand of basketball would just be terrible.
yeah,
Late like I don't think like mid ranges would not exist at all. Um,
yeah.
Floater like even taking a layup because it's like I'm thinking it's like a 4 pointer like it's double the worth of a 2 pointer. So it's like
But then,
I'm
like at the end of the day, like we said, it's either you're getting four, or you're getting zero, or
yeah.
four or two, and But yeah, like you said, I think I agree with you. The product would be ruined, but just because so many people would try. But um, okay, my question was, I have two. The one I'm gonna ask the one that I was gonna ask or thought of in the beginning, but what do you define as a superstar in the NBA? Because I know a lot of people have different definitions. Do you see it as something like is more than just like Steph and like LeBron? There's a difference between. I think there's even a difference between a Steph and LeBron and a KD in terms of superstar. But
Like Steph, LeBron are superstars, higher
that
level.
that that counts more to just the off-court
Yeah.
brand. So like. To me, because to me, I don't throw around the word superstar lightly, but I know because you mentioned like Tyrese and superstar. That's why I thought of it. Like, what do you use as superstar? Is it just strictly on the court, or is it more just of the personality, everything?
I think the person because like Anthony Edwards is like I think you can argue like Tatum's. I kind of been not against Tatum, but like Tatum's not a superstar, and I feel like Anthony Edwards, like maybe a better player than Anthony Edwards, or I'd say Tatum's a better player than Anthony Edwards, but Tatum's more of a superstar just because of his game is more flashy. His off court, he's better off the court. So that's why I kind of mentioned because Tyrese is kind of getting into like he's he's kind of been good like off the court and like all that. And like you're right, like there's off the court, like that has to do with the superstar. That's why Curry and LeBron, like they have a clean image, all this, like, they're modern day, like they were like the best superstars for us growing up.
Yeah,
So that's why it's this like in this new generations, it's hard to find like that superstar to carry us. They're trying, maybe it's Wemby, maybe it's Anthony Edwards, maybe it's Shea, but it's like we don't have that established guy.
yeah.
But if I had to go back to your question, like what is a superstar? I don't know. It's hard to say because like
Well, we first have to. Are we keeping it strictly basketball or just everything? Well, because I think it's also like you said, we've been spoiled. Like people like LeBron or Steph, or if we're venturing out like Tiger Woods or like Tom Brady, it's like every so often, I don't know about so often, but you'll get these ultra rare, just blue moon type of just athletes that are just, they're just everything about them. That's why we use blue moon. It's like they're like icons. And not everyone is that. So I guess there could be a differentiation between that and just like
I think
superstar in the NBA, but I don't know. But
I think there is a differential because
oh
if
yeah, definitely. But yeah,
I
yeah.
think like if I'm saying this, you can agree, like like for super, I'm gonna name like the NBA super. When I think of NBA superstar, I think of Curry, LeBron, Kobe, Allen Iverson, Michael Jordan,
Hmm.
Magic Johnson, and then I guess you can say I'm not going to count like Wilt and all that.
Yeah.
And then I named 6 players. Those are the players where I'm thinking of a superstar, but I don't
Yeah.
think those are the 6 best players of all time. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, yeah.
So I think there is an off the court. Like I'm probably taking Tim Duncan over probably
Mm,
Kobe and for sure Allen
yeah,
Iverson. They're just off the court and just like so it is off the court, but it's also, on the court where
yeah.
like
But there's just that something that extra.
the aura,
I don't know if you want to call it the intan. Okay, yeah, aura, the intangibles, or whatever you want to call it.
yeah.
Yeah, that contributes to it. But yeah, but
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a really good question because it's making me think a lot. And that's why like the enemy is kind of in a hard place with viewership because they just don't have they have they have a lot of there's a lot of stars, but we don't have a superstar right now.
yeah, yeah.
That's literally what because yeah, that's we have
I
just
agree with
stars.
that.
We don't have a
I,
superstar.
I agree with that. But I just thought about that because when you're talking about Tyrese being a superstar potentially,
Yeah.
just thinking about that, I'm like, because my definition is more to what you just said in terms of just
Yeah.
superstar versus star. But
I was saying it loosely because
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that just made me think of it. But yeah, but
even Jokic is great, but I wouldn't say he's a superstar,
yeah. But in
which
terms of
sounds
like
crazy.
everyone's calling him a superstar in terms of NBA basketball terms, like
In terms of straight basketball
yeah,
and skill level, he's a
yeah,
superstar, but superstar just aura and all that is Kobe, Allen Iverson, Magic, Jordan, LeBron, Curry.
yeah,
Maybe you can probably say Larry Bird,
yeah,
Shaq, maybe. I'm trying to think who else. Those are superstars. And then there's, great players like stars like, McGrady, Hakeem, all that. But
yeah,
when I think of superstars, I think of those guys.
yeah. Real
Did you
quickly before this ends, because we got a
yeah.
couple minutes left,
Mhm.
what is one thing you would add to NBA All-Star Weekend, or add slash change or whatever to make it just draw more people to watch?
I think I would change it back to I know it's late. I would change it back to East and West, and I would not do like on this year was terrible. Like the
Yeah,
four teams, it's too
yeah,
bad because it was in the Bay Area. But
yeah,
I think that was, I mean, it was good that they tried it, but I think I would change it back to East and West. And
yeah.
then the one-on-one thing I think would be really fun, but
Yeah,
that's
I
just
really don't think a lot of people would participate, to
I
be
don't think
honest.
so. That's all like a little. It would be like Kuminga, like Nas Reed, like players like that, RJ
Yeah,
Barrett, like
yeah.
I don't think
But then
KD.
that's just gonna turn into like what the dunk contest is. Excuse me. It's like no disrespect, we have Matisse, in it this year. It's like
Yeah,
it's great that these guys are getting recognition and stuff, but it's just like if I'm tuning on an All-Star game, it's like obviously all these guys are ultra talented. It's the NBA, but like I'm not trying to watch Kuminga versus Nasri, for an
yeah.
All-Star one-on-one event. No disrespect to no one, it's the NBA, but you know what I mean? It's just,
That's
and that's
why.
definitely why a lot of people didn't like the All-Star format this year. It's like you had all these All-Stars that didn't get that much time playing, and you had rising stars, and it's just I hated the format too, just to
Yeah, that's why like because the average guy like wants to watch the best players play. Like
exactly, yeah,
yeah, like that's why like those old like the old dunk contests, like the dunks now are probably better. It's just like you want to see Vince Carter, you want to see Jordan,
Mhm.
like
And I know this kind of contradicts a little bit of what I just said in a way, but would you do you think the NBA would ever consider bringing in professional dunkers, maybe as its own separate event in the All-Star game? Because I've seen videos of these professional dunkers and what they do,
yeah, they're
and it's
crazy.
crazy. But maybe it's as an add-on to, because they're not part of the NBA, so you want still the NBA players. But do you think that would help in any type of way? Or
I think that would actually be really fun as like a separate like
yeah,
with and like you have like a NBA dunk contest and then just like a basketball dunk contest or you call it something like that. So
yeah,
I think that would be really fun. That would actually be a really good idea. But and it would be cool if like if Anthony Edwards, Ja, Zion, and who else?
LeBron. I'm just
Like
not
LeBron's never
forgetting that.
but like Ant, Ja, Zion, and who's another high flyer young. And even if it's like that's already three, and then like Shaden Sharp, whatever, you get a guy that's not crazy, but like I would love to see that like superstars. So I think superstars if they want to, I mean, because they don't have to, but if superstars they want to make All-Star game, good, they have to participate in it.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I mean, I think that's gonna be all for today. Just we're
Mhm.
gonna continue to do this. We might even have our own separate episodes where we're just doing like kind of like mailbag questions or just
Yeah.
spitballing these questions, answering them, just having fun talking. But just talking ball. we'll have more NFL talk too as more stuff happens, you know. Nothing's really happening right now. Schedule
Or
was released, but
yeah.
but
Real quick, I just thought of this. I'll probably before next podcast, I'll post on Instagram like ask us some questions that you want us
okay.
to talk
Yeah,
about
do a mailbag. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Call it.
that. So I think that'd be fun.
All right. But yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for that. You know,
Peace.
finals. We're here for it. Have a great
Peace.
day.